MakingStarWars.net.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today I got Rob and Bespin Bulletin with me. We're going to talk about Star Wars news. The title of today's shows is "Will Taika's movie piss you off as much as not seeing Mando's face?"
That's a good title.
it all comes together, you know.
I hear it in Snyder's voice though, so I think it checks.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean, like, it pans out. Like,
Yeah, like I always say, the thing is like not seeing his face. It has more to do with the depth of the emotional resonance that we're going to get out of that, you know. But anyways, really quickly before we get on to that stuff, let's just get the KOTOR stuff out of the way. This is from As a Truth's Twitter on twitter.com. Some call
the
it
Rift
X.
Daddy.
Some call
Shitter.
it yeah. For we played recently. We played Fortnite with him, and his new name is Rift Daddy. As a Rift Daddy, true, because that's his Fortnite name. In case you're wondering,
We were in bits when he became the Rift Daddy. To be fair,
when asked how he's feeling about the Star Wars KOTOR remake, Embracer's CEO, after a long pause, just said, "I've noticed anything I say will become a headline, so this is my only comment." Ooh, owned. He fucking said it straight, bro. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, when you kind of like don't say anything about anything for a long time, and then people go, "Is your game happening?" That doesn't make us crazy. That makes you non-communicative. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I it's fine to come out and say, you know, I don't say this guy did anything wrong, but it's like, you know, what do you, it's not that really that badass. You know what I mean? And then As a True, though, said the KOTOR remake is canceled, some say. And he shows, though, if it was canceled, why would it be on Embracer's upcoming release schedule they put out today? Also, the announcement is still on PlayStation's blog. It can have issues, doesn't mean it's dead. And here it is, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, external license, and it says PC, PS5. So it's on there, you know, for what it's worth.
And to be fair though, they've been canceling everything else on Embracer, so who the fuck knows? I mean, you know, they're shutting down Time Splitters. What was it? That developer. You know, they shut down a bunch of stuff, dude. So, I mean, I don't know, man. The Embracer group, dude, you know, it's like Wall Street tech bros who bought into games with a bunch of money overspent. I don't know what they're expecting, you know, like I don't understand any of these Wall Street dudes, same ones who were running Disney Plus. We're like, yeah, man, we'll just put out 1 million things and then we'll have all the stuff. Like it just yeah, I don't know, man. You know, like remaking. You remember how long it took them to make the Final Fantasy VII remake, and they still didn't really remake it. Like they broke it up into like 3 parts and then kind of like rebooted it in a way. Like it's not even
right.
I don't know, man. It's remaking an RPG, dude. Like that probably doesn't have. I don't know, man. I don't think they got all the Bible and manuscripts and all the stuff from the BioWare, the original developers. I wonder if they're all just doing it from scratch, or I don't know, man. I don't even know how you tackle that. I've worked on some remakes. It's easier when you're taking a low-res PS1 game and saying, hey, let's like something simple. Like Spyro is an easy one. Not easy, but it's doable. It's manageable within a 12-month period because it's a character who moves around a 3D world. It's basically the gameplay. You're just moving around a 3D world, jumping on some stuff. It's pretty easy to follow.
Jumping around.
100-hour RPG with side quests. Even on the Xbox, dude, it's not an easy thing to do. Let alone you pile on cinematic visuals. I just don't know, man.
As you saw, I submitted it to the CEO under a fake name. Laugh out loud.
And then you get these fucking tech bro like replies, you know. Hey man, I'm just so popular. Anytime I say something, someone's gonna blow it out of proportion, you know, because my dick's so big. I mean, every time I tell about my dick's big, you're just gonna make a headline out of it. So, you know, I'm just gonna post this comment. Yeah, it's a big picture of Nixon.
Yeah, no,
very clever.
I do understand where he's coming from. Like, I understand the perspective. It's like, fuck, if you even breathe with Star Wars, if you even breathe, you go Star Wars. then it's like it means something and it doesn't mean what you meant. So that's where communication is very important. That's where it's
That's
important.
your job
to
as a CEO is to not
Mhm.
go off the handle the minute someone asks you a question. Your whole job is PR. You have to be Kathleen Kennedy. Walk out stage and go, these fucking incels. Like that's work. We won't, right? But like, you know.
Yeah, well, and as the truth says, he took a long pause, and the other people with him laughed and looked at him, and he smiled. It was definitely uncomfortable about it being asked. They gotta speak more. It's been 2 years. Yeah, and that's like my whole thing is I think it's okay to say like right now we're not ready to discuss it. It's still in production, and there'll be updates in 2024. Something like that. Fine. It's not what I want to hear. Obviously, I would rather have like production updates. Here's some look at the new way we've designed it. Just you could throw bones and you can make this a long, pleasurable experience, or you can not throw bones and then you could let the rampant imagination of rumored discourse take hold, which is where they're at instead.
I would be more sympathetic if this was a game that wasn't officially announced, right? You know what I mean? Like if this was just something we're all talking about, though, I'm like, he doesn't have to say shit.
It leaked. Some people were leaking that they're doing it, and they're not ready to speak yet, and they haven't got the PR team together.
Like what I want to ask him about their remake of Five Nights at Filoni's. You know, he is not required to fucking like. We all know we want that game, right?
Five Nights at Filoni's.
I know.
Yeah,
Thought of that a month ago. I've been holding on to that one, but but it's an official release. So it's like, well, if it disappears, you're going to have to deal with that now. Like them's the breaks, kid.
Yeah.
You know, when Diablo 3 took like 11 years to come out, that's on Blizzard for announcing the shit, you know, and showing off like artwork every BlizzCon and then making it disappear for 6 years. Like that's on you, man. That's not on the fans, dude.
Right. So let's look at some story. Bespin, do you have any preference to the order of this stuff at this point?
No, this was the first one I did. This was like yesterday or the day before or something.
Yeah, so this is from the 15th. This is when I was going to get out of the way first. The Mandalorian star reveals that production is getting ramped up for season 4. Oh, by saying the Mandalorian star, you must mean Pedro Pascal, correct?
I must. Yeah.
Okay.
Because apparently these guys who are in the suit aren't doing real work, according to some fans. So
yeah, it makes us laugh because it's like like I said, there's this debate about all of this stuff, and it's like, well, yo, Pedro's never in the costume unless you see his face. So if you've thought the performance has been well with the helmet on ever, then you need to accept that. But the one thing is, we always say, is that it ends up opening up the door for a lack of intimacy and meaningful character moments between Mando and his peers when he has the helmet on every time. I kind of understand on one hand, like last season, if there was an idea of like, let's not show his face. It's supposed to be where we show his face, and we've already shown it in 2 seasons. I could kind of see how they could come to that conclusion, but you also have to earn that kind of ability.
But I think that conclusion that they came to was false, though, because they delayed production, they lost Pedro, and they were like, well, we've now got to pivot, and the future-proofs them, which is fine.
Right.
You know? So the next time you see his face, it might have more of an impact anyway, which could be the film or whatever.
But what we ended up with was a lack of emotional resonance over that narrative, and it wasn't picked up somewhere else. Something else didn't fill that void, that emptiness in our souls. That's Pedro Pascal's beautiful face. Yesterday, this is from bestmanbulletin.com. Yesterday, it was revealed by a prominent star of The Mandalorian that production on the eagerly anticipated 4th season of the hit Disney Plus series was ramping up. Now that the SAG-AFTRA strike has come to an end, you can support Bespin on Patreon, and you can send him a coffee and a rude or pleasant message. You can say I love you, or you could put maybe a hex in there, whatever you want. If you know what, like maybe an old witch or maybe a bruja in your local community that you can get to maybe make him divulge all of his deepest Star Wars secrets. Anyways, Brendan Wayne, along with Lateef Crowder, dons Din Djarin's armor most of the time during The Mandalorian, has taken to Instagram to share an update on the 4th season of The Mandalorian. Wayne, who was posting about a football team, soccer team for you Americans, he coaches, reveals that production, or more likely pre-production, on the 4th season of The Mandalorian was ramping up. This update follows the end of the SAG-AFTRA strike, which concluded last week after 118 days. And this is the first update we've had on The Mandalorian from anybody involved in the series. So, I mean, it kind of right now is ringing just cheerleader to me, It's ramping up, boys. Yeehaw, everybody. Get going. Yay. I don't know. Okay, so he goes on to say, this is a quote. Only one thing that is exciting to me than the strike being over or season 4 of Mando getting ramped up is that season 2 of Coach Mando and the Lady Lancers. What the fuck is going on? What's Coach Mando and the Lady Lancers? I'm confused.
That's his soccer team.
Really?
But he's Coach Mando. Yeah.
And he's Coach Mando?
Yeah.
You fucking with me, dude?
No.
You're fucking around, right?
No, that's his thing.
And this is John Wayne's grandson?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that John Wayne's grandson is a soccer coach and they call him Coach Mando and he has the Lady Lancers?
He also wears a cowboy hat.
All right. I'll go with it, man. Anyways, and you're telling me that his grandfather was killed by nuclear waste transported from a bomb test site into Hollywood and that everybody died of cancer from it as well? Wow. This guy's life is amazing. All right. Ahead of the release of The Mandalorian Season 3 in March, the series creator, Jon Favreau, shared that he had completed work on the scripts for Season 4. It was believed that Favreau had completed work ahead of the impending Writers Guild of America strike at the time, which began in May and ended towards the tail end of September. The same day in which Jon Favreau confirmed he'd already written the 4th season of The Mandalorian. Making Star Wars reported that the season was already in pre-production and was gearing up for an October shoot in Manhattan Studios. Filming on the 4th season was delayed due to the WGA strike. Thanks for killing my scoop, strike, with Deadline confirming the MSW report, revealing that filming was set to begin at the very end of September 2023, but had been indefinitely delayed. Fans have a real hard time with what indefinitely delayed means in this era, because indefinitely delayed is like PR speak for we canceled it, but we don't want to tell you we quit and we don't want you to get mad at us. But in this instance right here, this is like a correct usage of indefinitely delayed. So there's been no updates.
You just got to tell them when they get older, sometimes they're going to be indefinitely delayed in the sack. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. It's coming, just not tonight.
Me getting my shit together is indefinitely delayed. There's been no updates on The Mandalorian Season 4 since the reveal of its production delay, though it's believed that the season won't start filming until the new year. I previously reported that even before the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, that the 4th season was being planned for release in 2025. As I understand it, this is still the case, just a little later than initially planned. So, yeah. Bestman, just, I know you don't have like a scoop to give on this, or you can't at this moment, but do you think that the 2025 release date will likely be the same one that we were going to have anyways, like regardless of when it films?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like fairly early into 2025. With the, I don't know if Ando's still going to suffer the delay that it was going to suffer at some point. So obviously when I did that article about Skeleton Crew getting delayed into 2024 and everything being in flux and fluid because of they were basically preparing for like the worst situation with the WJ strike that they might go till January.
Right.
So in that scenario, like I said at the time, one source said Skeleton Crew could be delayed up to a year, like because they were trying to figure out their schedule.
Yeah.
Right. Everything else I told you in regards to Marvel, which obviously I don't write about because it's not my bag, right? But I told you it well in advance. All happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with that, everything else was going to suffer a delay. Like Acolyte was supposed to be May, from what I understand, but it was going to suffer a slight delay. So not as big as what Skeleton Crew could have faced. And that obviously would have an impact on Andor, which was going to slip from August to the start of 2025. But I don't know if that's still the case. But if Andor was slipping to early 2025, Mando was slipping later. Like just because it had to.
Right.
That's basically. The way I understand it, because of when they're going to start filming, which is probably early next year, it probably will just be a little bit later than planned. But we're not going to be without like Star Wars content next year. You know, we've got like 2 animated shows and probably 2 live action shows, so we're fine. You know.
Yeah, and we have a third animated show somewhere out there as well in that mix too. Because we have Tales of the Jedi, we have Visions season 2, and then we have the
3.
Bad Batch. So we have 3 in total.
Yeah, Vision
Um,
season 3.
Yeah. Oh, Vision season 3. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, there's been little way in the plot details regarding Mandalorian season 4. It was revealed by Making Star Wars in June that Boba Fett would be making a triumphant return to the series, to the Mandoverse, after being seen in his spin-off series, The Book of Boba Fett. I forgot about that. That released in December 2021. MSW added that during the Mandalorian season 4 pre-production phase, which was later paused, a cockpit for Slave One was under construction. And then this is him basically addressing the thing that we already talked about for a whole show. So I don't think we'll hit on that again, if that's okay with you. And then you could follow Bespin on the Bob podcast. And once again, you could give him a tip on coffee, and you could support him on Patreon.
See, I only interrupted you once, Jason.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
What?
No,
So what are we
fine.
talking about?
No, just
What?
that, you know, season
I wasn't paying attention. No,
season
I'm
4 is
that's
quote ramping up, and yeah, I mean,
oh, that's right.
it's
It's ramping up.
yeah, I mean
I
it's
have here this early next year. Like that is where I'm hearing the
what,
film.
filming
Can't wait.
or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's definitely I mean it's definitely gonna have to be in
Will
2025.
Grogu get his first girlfriend?
Maybe.
And will it be a pig? You know what I mean?
Oh, like a Miss Piggy
yeah.
Kermit the Frog kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing anything worthwhile with Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. Might as well, you know. Might as well give Frank Oz could come in. He could play. I don't know, what would her name be? Gladys. Gladys the Yoda. All right. Taika says that his Star Wars movie.
Gladys.
Gladys.
Right. It's Star Wars. So
Yeah.
It's Gladys.
I mean, she is 60 years old, you know, which makes her 6 years old. All right. Taika Waititi says that his Star Wars movie will piss people off, and that it will be a Taika Waititi film. Now, before we get into this, just because I think that there's, it's a little confusing. I like how this shirt looks like he's wearing Luke Skywalker shirt almost too. So like it looks like it's like the Hugh Hefner Luke Skywalker shirt he has on.
That's how I made the image. You know,
Yeah,
I just because
yeah.
he's laughing, I thought it might like annoy people. That's why
It does
was
look
chosen.
like that though. I mean, it has a little extra edge to it. Well, like so we have. I mean, it's a weird thing to say on one hand, right? Because like a Taika movie like Thor, it's an action superhero movie with like a bit of comedy into it, right? But then like What We Do in the Shadows, this is completely like cinema verite, complete comedy the whole time. And so when he says it's going to be like a Taika movie, I think that just ends up being whatever is the worst idea that could be becomes the Star Wars movie to the discourse, doesn't it? At that point.
Though, yeah, but those people have probably only watched the Thor movies.
Mm-hmm.
The people who always get mad and triggered about Taika is
Yeah.
usually the people who've only seen the Thor movies and they didn't like Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Taika
Yeah.
describes his movies as comedic, but with depth and heart.
Right.
Like you think you're having just a good time, a laugh, and there's always something that pulls at your heartstrings in the movie. And that's what my definition of a Taika film is, because according to him, that's what his definition is.
Yeah.
Even if you look at like Thor: Love and Thunder, which a lot of people dislike, he attempts to do that there, like
Right.
with Thor taking on the kid, and you know Christian Bale's character, like what he's like seeking. You know, it's and obviously the loss of Jane. So, you know, he still tries to do that in every movie. It's just how far he goes. That's why I thought Christy Wilson Cairns was the perfect balance to Taika. You know, her doing 1917 and The Good Nurse and Last Night in Soho, she would have brought balance to him.
Right.
You know, and obviously experience with like a war film. So,
and just because she's not on the current draft doesn't mean that she didn't. And if from you know, it doesn't mean that she didn't. She might not have done anything. We don't really know what the extent of her work is on it. We know that she was on it and then she wasn't.
we know she was on it for 2 years. Like
Yeah.
that's all we know.
Yeah.
But
2 years
so-
is a long time to give everything you have to give to a project, I think, too.
right, yeah, I do too.
Potentially, anyway. So Taika Waititi, the director behind critically acclaimed films such as What We Do in the Shadows, Hunt for the Wilderpeople, and Jojo Rabbit, as well as commercial hits such as Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder, has shared what people can expect from his long in development Star Wars movie. You can support him on Patreon and Coffee. During a brief interview with Variety during a premiere for his next film, Next Goal Wins, which is due to release on Friday and currently sports 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. The
You see what I
writer
did there,
direct
Jason? I
you
used the word
trolled
sports. I said sports.
sports. Is that
Because
a
it's
thing
about
that I?
it's about football, isn't it? This movie.
Oh, I
So
see what you did. Yeah, you did do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You did. I mean,
I'm a true journalist now, Jason.
I would have also have accepted kicks into the box office or something like that. Like maybe something like that. But anyways, the writer director was asked about his upcoming untitled Star Wars film. When asked if his flick would stay true to what fans have come to know and love about Star Wars movies, Waititi responded, "It will be dramatic pause, a Taika Waititi film," before adding that the film is going to piss people off as he begins to laugh. And like we could contextualize this, I'm sure you will do an article here in a second, but on a lot of different ways. Because I mean, like the original Star Wars films have a ton of comedy in them, like a lot, and they're not even known for it, but it's there. There's a lot of very delightful, humorous moments in them, and but when Ryan acknowledged that and then tried to use it, what did it do? Piss people off. So I think that's what he's talking about, you know. So unfortunately, there's no videos of the interaction, but anybody that's familiar with the writer director and his personality knows that this was likely a joke on his part. However, as with anything Waititi says or does in recent times, I'm sure these comments are going to rub some fans the wrong way. Hey, I just like being rubbed at all, you know? Since the release of Thor Love and Thunder, the filmmaker has fallen out of favor, and he spelled it with a U because they always give a little extra over there in Wales, with many online fans due to the divisive nature of the Marvel release. Many fans felt as if the film leaned too far into Taika territory, with the humor jacked up and becoming more silly than funny. However, despite its criticisms, Thor Love and Thunder went on to become the second most successful Thor movie at the box office, raking in $760 million, only behind Thor Ragnarok's $865 million, which Waititi also directed and was credited for turning the Thor franchise into a major success. Yeah, Thor kind of couldn't get arrested before that, right?
Yeah, people used to complain that he's really boring, like in how his first two movies and how he was characterized in them.
Yeah.
You know,
Up till
Taika.
Ant-Man Quantumania, Thor had the worst, arguably the worst MCU movie, The Dark World.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
hated
you bring
that
up
one. Yeah.
when
Took me
you
3
bring
times
up
to see
a
it.
bad MCU movie, they would say Thor: The Dark World. That's
Yeah.
basically it. I mean, doesn't mean shit. People thought Iron Man 2 was the worst one before that. People love Robert Downey Jr., so it's not the character, it's the movie. But
Ben
the way we're
says,
at.
I'm pretty sure everybody forgets Taika did the finale of Mandalorian season 1, and so many people love that, and it was not a straight up comedy show. And it's like,
He had
yeah,
Stormtrooper punch Grogu in a bag, dude. Like,
yeah, he had Ted Lasso punch Grogu in a bag. Think about it. Think about how the headlines could read. You know what I mean? If you are grifting and you are just looking for outrage all the time, yeah. I mean,
Just
yeah.
just to play devil's advocate to that though,
Okay.
is Taika didn't write it. He just
Mhm.
directed it. And
Right.
people's frustration or fear could come from his writing. Because
Right.
obviously he wrote Love and Thunder and
Oh,
he wrote
100%.
this Next Goal Wins movie. So
I also want to say, I was watching old Roka the other day. He's got a buddy on there called Mike Vogel, who's an animation producer, right?
Right.
He's the actual producer, right? They were
Okay.
talking about Star Wars. He said, "What's your problem with Lucasfilm? This is a liberal gay dude, right? Open,
Mhm.
right?" And he
Cool.
goes, thing with Kathleen Kennedy is she still believes in the George Lucas mantra of an auteur, right?
Yeah. That's what
right?
we've kind of been saying
She-
lately as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
so it's
agree.
funny to watch Mike Vogel, right? So you're like, yeah, this is true. She
Mhm.
believes in the person who will write and direct their own thing. And I don't know what to say. I mean, like, there's no guarantee that if a committee makes it, that that doesn't work. An auteur makes it, that's not always gonna work. Even if you get the best screenwriters in the world and you hand it up to a director who's not interested,
Mhm.
it, you know, I really think of you remember the Ridley Scott movie Robin Hood? He made that back in 2010 or so. Remember that one?
Okay, yeah.
That actually started out as a script called Nottingham. It was like on the blacklist, which is like the hottest scripts in Hollywood, right? It
Mhm.
was like a reimagining of Robin Hood, where Robin Hood was like an asshole. Nottingham was actually pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like, whatever, right? He decided he took that script and then somehow it turned into that Robin Hood movie.
Right.
Like, so this, you know, I don't know what to say. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm with you. You know, like he's at the stage in his career where he's already won Oscars for writing, so he probably doesn't want to direct something he didn't write as a film, right? Like that's basically it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it just depends on like what the idea is. There are some things that I think do require the writer director because of the intimacy level in which they are like developing that story and what it is. But if it's a fucking idea like it's Darth Vader and he just goes around killing people in Order 66, you could probably make that shit by a committee just fine. You know what I mean? That's my take on
Well,
it anyway.
I heard someone the other day complaining that the problem with Love and Thunder was they had a god called Bao, the god of dumplings. And I'm like, no, that's hilarious. If you know anything about the Greek gods, there was a god for everything in
Mm-hmm.
Greek mythology. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That they weren't all serious. There was whatever gods we know of now, there probably was like 1,000 more that didn't survive time. All right. There was a god for every
The
fucking
god of
thing in Greek mythology.
spoilers needs to
Yeah, there
be.
would be a god of spoilers, right? There'd be a god of incels, which is we know who that is, but you know, you
Uh-huh.
take a guess.
Yeah.
The problem with that movie was it just didn't have an emotional center, didn't know what it wanted to do. It was just doing too many things at once. And what of Marvel right now could not be said, right? Like of that, like everything is doing too. Even the real geeks love the Ms. Marvel series, and
Yeah.
inarguably, in my opinion, that's a series that had like 3 seasons worth of story packed into like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like you don't get time to breathe in that stuff. So I imagine here, whatever Taika is probably doing isn't to set up 6 other films. It's probably just to make a Taika movie. You know,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
I would
it.
think so too. I would hope so. So Waititi made headlines earlier this week when it revealed that he and Lucasfilm decided that he will complete 4 scripts for other films before moving on to his Star Wars movie. Waititi is currently listed as a writer on 5 upcoming feature films: Akira, Flash Gordon, The Last Family, Werewolves, and The In Call. In addition,
That's a
Waititi is
ridiculous list.
yeah, Waititi is set to direct 2 films.
Hold up. Akira and
Flash.
Flash Gordon
Mm-hmm.
and some family drama and werewolves. Okay, so horror comedy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
spin off of What We Do in the Shadows.
yeah, it's the werewolves from
Right.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Look, man, this is where I'll get real critiquey of Waititi, critiquey of Waititi, right? Like
That's fair.
we
Waititi.
got one there, Porter. You work on that. It shows a pun. Akira is such a monster of a story, man. Like whether it's the anime or the manga's a beast, even more than the
It's the
anime.
manga he said he's going to tackle rather than just trying to adapt the anime.
You can't write 3 other scripts while you're doing that. You just can't. Like
The thing with Akira is that he pretty much completed work on it pre Love and Thunder, and he was yanked off of it to go and shoot Love and Thunder.
right.
So it's sort of done.
Okay.
He did spend a few years writing it. I don't know what he's doing with it now, you know, but he's supposedly still wanting to do it.
It's probably fucking 2 chicks on it at the same time doing cocaine off of it. If you're
I hope
wondering.
that film never
Dress
gets
a
made.
share.
And not by him, by anybody. It's an anime series at best if you can adapt it. The manga is just you can't make a movie out of it. You can't. You know, I mean,
don't
look,
want
the
him to do it
Akira
either.
film is visually stunning, but as a movie, it's like an experience. It's not much of a film. It doesn't. I don't know how to describe it. Jason, imagine taking all Stranger Things and making it a 2-hour film out of it. You see what I'm saying?
I usually just don't understand why things can't be perfect where they are, you know? That's usually my take. Yeah, like if you want to make a Stranger Things manga, I think you're probably dumb. Don't do it. No need for it. It's not needed.
They're making an anime.
You know, there we go. don't fucking need it. It's a good TV show. Just keep it a good TV show. You know, that's
There's
what I
also a
say.
That's how I
stage
feel about
play of
Bad
it
Batch.
now, right?
You know?
In
Sorry, I didn't
addition,
mean to cut you off.
Waititi is set to direct 2 films, Sour, Terry and Clara and the Sun, the latter of which Waititi will begin shooting next year. Taika's Waititi's mysterious Star Wars movie was first announced in May 2020. So there's a lot there. But there he is. Look at him living his best life, making everybody mad, you know?
I hope it makes people mad.
It is kind of funny. I mean, and like what I find like interesting about it is his Star Wars movie's not even on the docket. It's the
know.
one we've been talking about every day. I almost feel like it's the hey, look over here, you know, and don't look at what we're really doing with Star Wars, because
Yeah.
but I also think that I just am of the personal opinion based off of nothing that his movie is going to be that one that magically just shows up and replaces one that just failed or just fell apart. I think that's where he's going to come in. Will Morris says, speaking of Alejandro Jodorowsky, that's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, that doc, Jodorowsky Dune, shows much of a madman that guy is. Oh yeah, he's fucking nuts, but like in a great way. I also accuses Star Wars of ripping off all of his ideas, which makes me laugh.
Well, if you read the in-call, like there's things in it that is prequel-esque, you know?
Mhm.
Like that's what I'm looking forward to Taika doing this in-call movie. I think he could actually do it.
Yeah. All right. So, the big news yesterday. This is the big news du jour.
I wrote all this because I didn't think I'd be you, but here I am.
Here. Okay, would you rather just tell it?
No way. I'm too tired.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so this is to get everybody. Sorry, I'm sick. The roundup of what's been going on with the whole Reed Richards Pedro Pascal thing. Okay, yesterday I'm talking to Bespin. All of a sudden, I get a Chris Spreezy text message, and we're like, "What is this legit? What's going on, Spreezy?" And then okay, so it goes roundup of the Pedro Pascal Reed Richards report. So okay, according to the trades, Pascal has not officially signed on to play Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic in Fantastic Four, due to release May 2nd, 2025, but is now being eyed as the true frontrunner and is currently negotiating with Marvel Studios and Disney. So usually when you get to the negotiating phase, that's when it's like the intent deal is some kind of intent deal has been signed, everything is legally moving forward, and they're getting down to brass tacks. And even on Mando, they were negotiating into Mando. Like, so these things could, so it, how far ahead that is.
because he wasn't needed to be in the suit.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that Iger didn't want to pay him at that time. And rightfully so, kind of, when you're just going to be a voice actor. And I don't mean to belittle voice actors, but there's a difference between wearing like a fucking 75-pound suit all day, 8 hours in the hot sun, and then coming into a studio and being like, this is the way, you know, this is not the same work. One's very grueling. So anyways, the reason Pascal has yet to officially sign on though, is due to his schedule. Pascal is set to restart filming on Gladiator 2 in under 2 weeks. Production on The Last of Us season is slated to begin in January. The reports indicate that Pascal is looking to find time for Fantastic Four for the early part of next year, despite his other commitments. And one thing about The Last of Us, because I see it come up a lot, and I had to ask Mr. Bespin about it, is Pedro's character dies in the second season, or the second game, right? Doesn't that mean he won't have that much to do? But you say no, actually. It's the narrative is tricky on that story, and his role in the game is likely close to the first season in some ways. And you also said that season 2 is like half of the second game, probably.
I do
Something like
explain
that,
in
maybe?
this, but basically,
Okay, sorry.
they said that season 2 of the show is only going to make a part of the second game.
Right.
The second game is so big that they need multiple seasons for it.
Yeah.
So we're getting at least 3 seasons, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And the way that the game's split up is you play the first half as Ellie, who's the lead character, and then you play the second half as Abby, who at the time we believed to be the villain.
Right.
But their stories, as you play them, even though you play them in 2 separate halves, they run parallel to one another. essentially.
Right.
You know, they both end at the same point, and Abby starts a little bit earlier than
Mhm.
Ellie's, but they did say that Craig Mazin, the showrunner and the writer, like that it wouldn't be one for one of a tell-in. There would be a
Mhm.
little bit of story changes, but there might be structural changes.
Right.
And the biggest structural change would be to not just have season 2 just be the Ellie story, and do season 3 and be the Abby story, which is how that game is cut in half.
Right.
You will likely, and it's an assumption on my part, but it seems to be the one that makes the most sense. It works in the game because that's the big twist, you know, that you are now having to play as the villain, you
Right.
know, and it turns out she's not the villain, you know. In her world, Joel Pedro's character is, you know. So to me, it makes more sense that in this season, the deck stories would run parallel to each other on screen. It wouldn't be divided into 2 seasons,
Yeah.
but that's how I'd imagine they do it. And Pedro's role as Joel, like, he does get killed off early in the show, in the second game, but he's littered throughout the game in flashbacks with
Right.
Ellie. Like, they tell you the story in between what happens at the end of the first game and where they're at in their relationship and events that happened, but before the second game.
Right.
So it wouldn't just be that Pedro shows up, gets killed, and like disappears. He likely would have other scenes to film.
So right now for next year we have Gladiator, promotion for Gladiator. We might have Fantastic Four and The Last of Us, and
There's
then The
even more.
Mandalorian season 4 is coming. Is going to be going in. Yeah, and what else is? Okay, will it be in here or?
Yeah, yes, in the next paragraph.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I will try not to get ahead. All right. So Justin Kroll of Deadline, which by the way does sound like a fucking badass barbarian name. Um, of Deadline shared that Pascal and his team believes a deal can be worked out. The actors looking to film Gladiator 2, The Last of Us Season 2, Fantastic Four, along with the film Weapons from the Barbarian filmmakers. That's Zach Krieger, who was in Whitest Kids You Know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's one of my favorite comedians. And so I love that he did Barbarian, and it was so fantastic, especially after their loss. Next year. So no mention by any trade or reputable journalist about The Mandalorian season 4, which films early next year. And according to Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic, Pascal was far from the first choice for Reed Richards. Snyder shared that just before the SAG-AFTRA strike began, Marvel Studios saw actors Jamie Dornan, 50 Shades of Grey, and Christopher Abbott, The Crowded Room, for Reed, but neither were good enough. Damn, dude, you got cutting right there. You're like, you're not good enough. They recently approached Jake Gyllenhaal. I hate this one, who turned down the role, thankfully. To me, anyways. I don't have a big dog in this fight, honestly, but Jake Gyllenhaal is that role. It does not work for me. Adam Driver was one of, if not the first approach to play Reed, but Driver exited negotiations over pay and his inability to connect with the character. Pascal's agents were reached out to during the SAG strike about the role, with Pascal willing to take meetings when the strike concluded. So, yeah, and usually the first choice is never the one that we get anyways, and usually that's for the best anyways. But
Remember when everyone wanted her removed from Sony because of those bullshit emails of hers? And then we got Tom Rothman, former head of Fox, to take over. And I'm like, well, great. Now you get Mobius's and you get Madam Webs and Cravens, and like it just won't
yeah,
stop. Yeah.
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 Not a big fan of Sony. Got my fingers crossed on Ghostbusters though.
Not a big fan of Tom Rothman.
Sue Storm is believed to be the true lead of the movie, with Reed being the male lead, but taking a backseat to Sue. Sue Storm is rumored to be played by Vanessa Kirby, the Crown. Joseph Quinn, Stranger Things, is believed to be playing Johnny Storm, and Eben Moss Bachrach to be playing Ben Grimm.
Here's what I fear about that. And it's not that the old bait and switch thing, which you're going to hear about, because fans, nobody cares about Sue Storm in comic book in the comic book world.
Yeah,
They care about Reed Richards, Thing, Doctor Doom. The Storm, Human Torch, fine. Human Torch when he's not on fire, no one cares about. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
That's the general comic book fan mentality. My fear is that they try to like use her ability to turn invisible as a metaphor for no one sees her. She's like the part of the team that no one, and then you got Vanessa Kirby, a stunning woman, you're like, no one sees me, I'm invisible. And you're looking right at her like, you're the White Widow, man. Everyone's staring at you. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
I fear that that's not, they don't Incredibles this one out. Like, there has to be a different hook in a way,
Yeah.
that there's something more, what do I say, more forward moving, has more momentum that moves characters forward than like, you know what I mean? Like, I just wonder where they're going with that, because it could be, the other thing that we heard for a while too is rumors of them putting their kid in there, Franklin Richards, like just jumping right to them having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what is it like to be a mom when everyone wants to be a hero?
Bestman, was that credible? Because I remember when I heard that he was going to be a father in this, and then when we heard the Pedro thing, I was like, yeah, of course they would do that. They like to make Pedro a daddy, a space daddy.
Yeah, and
a
he
hero
would lean
daddy.
into that when he's promoting it, be like, I'm an actual daddy now.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. It's not come from any.
Because that has
I
been
think
his
Snyder even
typecast
said it,
at
like,
this point, though, right? Between Grogu, Last of Us, and if he has a kid in this, that is his typecast now.
That is his typecast,
Yeah.
He's got a supernatural kid.
Yeah.
Shit,
yeah.
I just put that one together, right? He's got a supernatural kid, got to save the world.
Yes.
He's a dad.
Yeah. So
look, he is all this stuff aside, right? Star Wars, everything else. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards is a very awesomely like unorthodox choice. Like, you don't think it, but when you're like, Reed Richards is a guy you like. He's just like, this is the kind of character. He's like Alan Thicke from Growing Pains. You don't really know what his role there is, but you like him, right? Like, I like this guy. I don't know why. There's something likable about him. Reed Richards has that, and that's always been the problem. Like Adam Driver, yeah, he's an intense guy, but I don't know if you're not gonna go down to. You're not gonna go to Bed Bath and Beyond with Reed Richards, with Adam Driver. I don't know, man. Like, he's just a little intense. Like, you could say, well, you could play differently. I haven't seen that in anything he's done.
I saw somebody else put it on Twitter, and then a few weeks ago or a few days ago, maybe it was, Bespin sent me a joke, and it was like the Fantastic Four cast is released, and I clicked on it, and it was the It's Always Sunny cast. And when I looked at it, I was like, Dennis would be a good Reed Richards, though.
Dennis would be a good Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Especially after I saw him in like Blackberry this year. He would, he'd be great.
Yeah.
He was my choice. It was him, or I know he's a little bit short, but I like.
Have you told me that before?
That he was my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I also like Adam Scott as for a.
Did you just plagiarize Bespin, Jason?
No. I think we're on the same page there, though.
Just check. Just checking.
Yeah.
Just check. It's going around right now. I just want to make sure you're not jumping in.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, everybody else gets to. What? Everybody's doing it.
At least I'm doing it to his face.
Yeah. At least I look him in the eye and do it.
Do his stanza icon, and then I do it.
look at do his icons and do it. Okay. According to Jeff Snyder, Kevin Feige and Disney pivoted towards Pascal recently for Reed, after they saw an offer to Gyllenhaal rejected. Looking at the cast and possible reads, Feige and Disney believe the cast too white, and the move to Pascal was made. According to Jeff Snyder, one of the concerns of Marvel and Disney had in regards to Pascal was his age, 48. Pascal Reed would be married to Sue Storm, played by Vanessa Kirby. Kirby is 35. So not exactly like crazy. I personally, though, in my opinion, think that Pedro Pascal looks a little old to be starting off the Fantastic Four franchise.
Oh, 100%.
Unless we are starting it as if it's been going on for a very long time, and that's why they already are to the kid stuff, and it's like we missed 10 years of Fantastic Four stories, and we're just catching up with them at this moment. If they do it like this is where it begins, it's, I don't know, it's a little bit weird to me. But
how old was Robert Downey Jr. when he played Iron Man?
I don't know.
Come on. Someone in the chat knows.
But I will say,
I'm not Googling it, so
yeah.
you're going to have to tell me.
But I would even say that at this
Not
moment,
doing it.
Robert Downey Jr. still looks younger than Pedro today. Even
Well, that's
now,
what I'm saying. Like,
you
it
know,
depends
so
on what you
it's-
look like, too.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like when I was
Pedro looks
when I was
great, by
in-
the way. I'm not saying he looks bad. I just mean when you're starting like, oh, there might be 10 years of this movie. Well, Pedro's going to look 60 by the time we get to the first decade of it, you know, just realistically. So, but once again, don't have a dog in a fight, so it doesn't really upset
I
me.
want to say Robert Downey Jr. was 40, but I'm not Googling it because I don't care.
Okay.
So I'm not a journalist. I don't have to
according
know.
to hold on, we got to stop the show because of Rob, and we got to look up Robert Downey Jr.'s age because people are going to be driven crazy by you opening up a fucking mystery and then being
No one
lazy
knows,
about
see?
it. Hold on,
See?
I think he's 56 now. He's 58 now. He's born in 65. He was born in 65.
So
So
43. 43.
43. Okay.
It was 43.
And it's a good looking 43 too. According to
I'm
okay,
older
so-
than Robert Downey Jr. was when he played Iron Man. God damn it.
According to Joe Snyder, Disney Marvel wanted a star for the movie. Initially, they sought out bigger names for the film's lead to storm. Offers went out to both Emma Stone and Margot Robbie, who wanted $20 million for the role. Disney and Marvel are tightening their belts, so they moved on to talent that would demand less. Without a big name actress for the film's lead, the hope became to get a big star for Reed. But Adam Driver and Jake Gyllenhaal rejected offers as they wanted higher pay. Unconfirmed rumors, both wanted $10 million. Wow. That's a pretty good cut for Disney, though, considering they were going to have to pay 20 at one point. Pascal was seen as a star to help market the movie and is likely demanding much less than Driver and Gyllenhaal.
I will do it for $3 million. Like, you fucking dick, you scabbard. You know?
And
then Jake Gyllenhaal and Adam Driver beat up Pedro Pascal at Club 33, right? Like, they get into a big row.
well, look at Pedro Pascal's star. It's really, really big. But then look at Pedro Pascal's probably like his box office stuff. He doesn't really have any, does he? Like nothing like really like
Pedro's like a more prominent TV star.
Yeah,
and he's just popular online. That's all he has.
Right.
Driver and Gyllenhaal will use their box office results.
Yes.
To push up a high pay. That's why Emma Stone and Margot wanted 20.
Right.
Like they fully deserve it based off of their careers.
Right. Right. And so it's like for Pedro, him taking a big pay cut but then getting that exposure and then getting some box office numbers under his belt is probably pretty attractive, I would think.
Yeah, when he goes into renegotiate in a few years, he'll have Gladiator 2 under his belt. And,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, man. Like, if Marvel wants their cake and they want to have their cake and eat it too. Okay. They want to have some kind of name cachet, but then they don't want to spend money because they're looking at a team movie with all. So at that point, just go with unknowns. Find people who there's so many brilliant fucking actors we've never. No one heard of any of these Stranger Thingers, right? That's why I like to call them the Stranger Thingers. None of them. They never heard of the Steve Harringtons. They never heard of the Max, Mad Maxes. They never heard of any of these fucking kids.
Right.
I did not know who Winona Ryder was.
What?
Huh?
That's my wife, dude.
Right. That's right.
That's my TV wife.
Probably hadn't. You probably got her confused with Christina Ricci because she was in Mermaids.
I couldn't lie to you guys. When she stole all that shit, I found her hotter. Go on.
Yeah, I miss those. Remember when that was the big scandal in Hollywood? Winona Ryder used to shoplift. Like that was a huge thing. And now, now look where we're at.
I just like to imagine Winona like comes back, she like pulls out like a Coke Zero for me. She's like, "Babe, I stole this for you." And I'd be like,
"What if she still steals?"
I love you too.
I would be so happy. Like she takes meetings with Kevin Feige just to lift shit from his office. Like
she stole my heart,
awesome.
Rob. She stole my heart.
But stole your heart.
Continue.
Anyway, that's what casting directors are for. So like
Sarah
there's
Finn,
so many
people don't trust her, but they love everything she does,
Yeah, there's so many people out there you just haven't heard of. If you really love, that's the problem. They want to love the characters, but then they also want an actor. And it's like you can't have both. You got to pick. That's just economic realities, If you were an up and coming studio that had no cachet in your name, then fine. But that's it. you got to pick one or the other. They got to spend 200 million, or if they want to spend 150, then they're gonna have to go with nobody's.
Right.
Like,
But you got to remember as well, the Marvel, like in recent reports, not even related to Fantastic Four, but like all the shitstorm of Marvel, which is like they weren't willing to pay for more experienced writers. That's why everything is now is getting rewrites. Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, everything. Like there's a bunch of stuff. They've actually hired experienced writers now. On top of that, you know, they were just more willing to just splash cash on budgets and reshooting entire films. Like Captain America has to reshoot for 5 months from January to June. You know, and it's already been completed.
Yeah.
They're now trying to, because of the disastrous like couple of years for them and for Disney as a whole, like they are now tightening their belts. So it's like, we want a star, we want Emma Stone. She wants 20 mil. We're not doing it. We ended up with Vanessa Kirby, who's a very talented actress. I like her a lot, but
Yeah.
she's an Emma Stone. They wanted Jake Gyllenhaal, who was even in the MCU as Mysterio, and he was like, "Oh, he wants 10 million. That's too much because he's not even our lead. Let's go and get Pedro." Like they,
nobody ever heard of Henry Cavill before Man of Steel. Let's just be honest. Nobody was like, cast Henry Cavill. No one ever heard of him.
He was always beating me up in Warhammer games.
That's why I'm saying, like, they're just look. Honestly, the person that fits the bill when you cash off the likability, comes off smart, kind of nerdy, probably cheap, is Matt Smith. When it comes to Reed Richards, that's it. You know, but they want someone who appears more. I can tell you right now, they want someone who appears more masculine, more manly than that. And Pascal gives you a guy who can still beat up he can beat you up at lunchtime if he wants to, right? Like,
right.
You could. So that, I don't know, man. Marvel's in such a weird spot right now, and what's weird to me is I get the feeling, Bespin. You tell me. I feel like this was a film that was not big on their list to ever do. Like, they're gonna do it, but they're gonna do it in their own time. They got all this other stuff they want to do, and all this other stuff didn't work. And now this is up. And I'm not saying this is like the thing that's supposed to save them, but I don't think they realize this is the thing that their fan base, their heart wants to see done right. And I don't know if maybe now it's just dawning on them, you know, like I wish we got a better sense of what they're thinking.
There was like a report recently where they were like Marvel and Disney are looking at the next like the next few years of Marvel films, and they're looking at Deadpool 3, this, and the Avengers movies as their saviors. They're not looking at Captain America, they're not looking at Thunderbolts or Blade or anything else. They're essentially hoping to get one big hit a year, and that's currently Deadpool, this, and the Avengers. Obviously, this is supposed to be Avengers 26 and 27. So yeah, and I think like in one of those articles before, when I think I commented, it's one of the trades, but they were like, Marvel and Disney thought they couldn't lose. Disney was so confident that the audience would just eat it up and superhero like issues wouldn't arise, that they would just consume whatever they're given, and they wanted a film in cinemas and a show on Disney Plus at any given time. If somebody wanted to watch something Marvel, there was something new being distributed some way. And yeah, obviously they've burnt themselves.
We know the reality is that hasn't worked out. And
no,
I believe in many ways it just can't work out in that sense of having this is all opinion, right, Jason? So you can feel free to just disregard this, but I'm gonna just be honest about it.
You're entitled to your opinion.
I've come to the opinion now. I think it is impossible to maintain a healthy box office receipt for your franchise and have 2 to 4 yearly shows on Disney Plus expanding that base at the same time. I think you can have a show on Disney Plus or Netflix or wherever else that may have a rotating set of characters that you can get people on board with. Like, that's the show. We watched the Game of Thrones, and then maybe there's a Game of Thrones movie that's coming out every few years or every year or something. But 3 movies and 3 shows a year, I don't think is sustainable for anybody. Like, beyond financially, I just mean in the mind space. I don't think that can work. Like, I haven't seen it work. I haven't seen anyone pull it off. I've seen everyone try, It's not working. So
I think that what you end up with though, with like Star Wars, like for instance, is like you have like your Andor, and then you have your Mando. Those don't satiate the same audiences in the same way. So I agree with you in the sense that you can't please everybody all of the time, but I do think that you can when you have a huge multinational fan base with every demographic in the world in it, you can do various projects that appease those
if the
ones.
shows are
But
fundamentally doing something the movies can't, let me give you an example.
Mhm.
The Netflix Daredevil show was doing something that they at the time could not do in the movie theater. You couldn't have Daredevil fucking shit up, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
dude fucks and fucks shit up. Elektra stands over a guy. I mean, you think Gone Girl was bad? She stands over a dude, rips his fucking heart out. She's covered in blood and she's just bathing in the glory of it. Like, it's fucking, it's a brilliant shot. Couldn't do that in a Marvel movie. So that's what I'm saying. It's adding something you just can't do one way. And all the fans will go, oh, yeah, you can't get that on the, on the blah, 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 blah. But when you're getting like watered down movies on Disney Plus and then watered down TV shows in the movie theaters, it's I don't know if that's a recipe for long-term success, financial, let alone critical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I can see a world in where Andor exists and I get a sequel trilogy.
Yeah, because
style
you're not going to
thing,
do an
but
Andor movie. That
yeah,
series is doing something the movie isn't doing.
I
It has
think
to
that
fundamentally do something different, is what I'm trying to
yeah
basically say.
I think like fans with the tap being turned off on the Star Wars films started looking at the television series as if they were films when they're not. And then
Right.
so you just end up in this place where nothing is really necessarily pleasing everybody on all of their check boxes. So I totally see that. Like, like Mando is never really going to be a Star Wars film. It's not. It's just not. And so yeah, I just need them to do both. I don't know how much people can take. I don't know what the line is and where that is. And I think that line is always moving as well because certain things I think have like a bigger impact on like a fan base than other things. So there's like smaller stuff you could take a lot of, but then like really big moments, if everything is trying to do a big moment, it's just no, you're not going to do it because everything's relative. Everything is in relation to itself on this stuff. So I think that I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe they have the answer to the problem that you're presenting though.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I
look, and I
mean?
have an opinion. That's not the answer.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
certain the reality is, and I've had this case. I remember when I first started working at this one t-shirt company, they were trying to sell the company off to a bigger company,
Yeah,
and all these financial guys got to come in and do the books and blah 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 blah. They're in there for like months, right?
right.
And then we have all these like meetings on global blah 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 and all that fucking business shit.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm sure those business people come in there and they're like, well, look, here's this and that. And this is the problem. And so it's like, there is a version of that is true. However, there's another version of it where it's like, okay, give an example. The Marvels features an all-female cast, right? And then you get the go woke, go broke. But then Barbie does quite well, right? So even if this film wasn't appealing to juvenile males like myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the female audience? Maybe the female audience isn't that into following, isn't large enough to follow 100 different Marvel things. Maybe they want to follow one, or they're just not interested in it. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, do they know who's excited for the Fantastic Four to begin with? Do
Mm-hmm.
are they on that timeline, or are they checking off some other boxes that they have that I don't fully understand? Again,
Yeah.
Sue Storm, like, there's room for that character to be something that never was in the comics. I'm all for that. That's an opportunity.
Room to grow
But
the character.
right, in the way that maybe you didn't expect in a Toy Story movie one of the other characters to be important that do be important. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like remember in Toy Story 2, you had if you tell you, oh, the new focus is the female Woody, You're right. Like you could hear the incels raging
Mhm.
now before the movie came out that the female Woody's going to replace Woody and Buzz, and it's all about her. No, she's a focus and the emotional core of that film, but at the same time, that's not true. But you could see that, right? Like
Yeah.
how that could get manipulated. So I don't
All
know.
right. So according
I don't
to
know, man. I just Pedro doesn't Pedro have enough to do? Like, isn't he making Last of
yeah,
Us's
I
and
know.
Dune 3 and Gladiator 8? Like, isn't he?
According to Jeff Snyder, Javier Bardem is the current top choice for the villain of the movie Galactus. Previously, Antonio Banderas was considered for the role. Silver Surfer will also will feature in the film and will be female. The first season of The Last of Us filmed for 11 months from July of 2021 to June of 2022. It is believed that the second season will also have a long shoot. Post-production begins in January for the series. The second season will adapt the second game. This is the stuff we already talked about, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Should I skip this stuff mostly?
It's
So
up to you.
Craig Mazin's writing
Well,
it,
hold on.
and if
I
you
didn't
want
hear
to
what he
get,
said. I didn't hear what he said. Do I skip this stuff or no?
I said it's up to you. Yeah.
Okay.
but Craig
Yeah.
Mazin's writing it, and if you're not familiar with Craig Mazin's work on
You can just
Chernobyl,
read the last paragraph if you want.
he does do a screenwriting podcast,
Mhm.
right? Script notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Very good, very good.
Joel
Very good podcast.
Joel is the Pedro's character from Last of Us. Infamously dies early on in Last of Us Part 2.
Spoilers.
But is scattered throughout the game in flashbacks. Joel features prominently in scenes that take place between the first and the second game. Pascal likely won't need to be on set for The Last of Us Season 2 as much as he was for Season 1, which is likely how he'll be able to film Fantastic Four and The Last of Us Season 2 at the same time. Given Pascal's commitments to Gladiator 2, The Last of Us Season 2, Fantastic Four, and Weapons, it's extremely unlikely he'll have time to go on the set for The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
Favreau future-proofed the series with Season 3 by having the story no longer need Din to remove his helmet after Pascal signed on for The Last of Us, and gave it first priority in his contract. Pascal was only able to join The Last of Us after the delay of The Mandalorian Season 3's production, which shifted from April 2021 to the end of September 2021. The Last of Us began filming in July 2021 and concluded in June 2022, 3 months after principal photography wrapped on The Mandalorian Season 3. So right there, it does not paint a good picture for us having Pedro in multiple episodes with his mask off as we did in season 2 or whatever it was. It seems very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. I don't think it's impossible. Like scheduling, it's they could make it work if they need to, I think.
I mean, he had 2 months off during The Last of Us Season 1 and decided to stay in LA and not do anything. So
yeah, and I think that was because of all of the other productions that were going on at that time, and it makes me question though, like,
his time off was between between the end of December 2021 and
right,
the end of February 2022, which Mando was still filming.
Right,
Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew hadn't started.
Right, but they were going into it.
They were going into it, but
yeah.
But like, I remember there being a quote from Giancarlo before Mando 3 started filming, and Pedro was already doing Last of Us. It was at some sort of convention, and some lady asked him, "Is Pedro going to be in Season 3 because of Last of Us?" And he said, "Oh, he's worked something out with the studio and with like John and Dave, So I always thought, like, when that little break he had came up, because obviously there was 2 episodes he didn't really appear in the Last of Us Season 1.
Yeah,
that's when he would have done it. Because like,
here's
it sounds stalkerish, but like,
yeah,
I was tracking his like Last of Us like production because I knew people on it, and I knew when he was in LA. I knew when he was at the gym in LA. He was keeping fit. He was like not even too far away from where he would have needed to be. He didn't film. I had sources. I text sources every day. Is Pedro there today? Is Pedro coming? Blah blah blah. Nothing. Like, so.
Well, and that was the other thing was that that whole ending in Mando, where they filmed the ceremony and stuff, that was shot early on, and then it was reshot again to add more stuff to it. And it was my assumption at that moment it was when Pedro would show up, and then he didn't. And you could even see like I remember we noticed there was like water on a helmet and then not water on a helmet kind of stuff like in some of those scenes, and it was because we were supposed to move into uh Pedro being in those. They just didn't do it. I think they just decided, oh fuck it, we don't need it. Let's not
Oh,
complicate
Pedro
this.
decided, fuck it.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I wonder how
Like
much power he would have to just be like, "Fuck it," but I don't
well, he
know.
was in a grueling shoot, right? And in his contract, it says first priority to The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have just had an excuse like, oh, well, they need me at any time for like
Yeah,
pickups or reshoots, or like for this change of scene, they can't do this other thing, so we need to do this now.
yeah,
Like he could have just used that sort of
it's possible.
excuse, but
Yeah, right.
so that's why I think with this time, like he can't, like he was just committed to one show last time, and I believe it films in Canada, and I think they're going back to Canada for it,
Okay.
and so he's going to be jumping from Canada to probably Atlanta,
Right.
is where I'm assuming they're going to film Fantastic Four. If it's not Atlanta, it's going to be Pinewood in the UK.
Right.
So he's going to be bouncing around the place, and he's going to do Gladiator into Last of Us and Fantastic Four at the same time, and then weapons on top of it.
So does
So
does this take out seeing Pedro's face in the Mandalorian film? This
I don't
crossover
think
thing?
so. I don't mean this. Some people will think this in a very negative way,
Mm-hmm.
but I do not mean it as such.
Okay.
I think no matter what, Pedro will make sure he's free, even if it's for a couple of days, for that movie,
Yeah.
because getting his face shown in that thing is really good PR for him,
Good for the
right?
when they go to do the press for it. He could be on Good Morning America for it and stuff.
Yeah, you could have him like you can have his face in trailers if needs be, like it's already been shown before. So why do you need to hide it again? You
Yeah.
could have it on a poster. It's good for him. It's a good look for him if his face is being shown in this big blockbuster hit for him, because it's a
Yeah.
Star Wars movie. It's probably going to do over 500 mil. I'm not saying it's going to do like a billion or anything, but it'll probably do well enough,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll look good on his resume.
Yeah.
Pedro like seems to be the PR master, right? Like you roll
Yes.
him out, and he becomes a sensation for that little period of time on the
Yeah.
internet.
Roll about. It's fun.
They
You know,
do. They do. I mean, masterfully
yeah.
each time.
Like he went on SNL recently, and like everybody made a big deal of it. And his SNL clips from when he hosted it resurfaced, and he's Pedro is in this like period of his career, like, and it's quite late into his career where he's now becoming a star. He went from Game of
Mm-hmm.
Thrones to Mando, which obviously elevated into the mainstream. Last of Us was, did better numbers wise, but what that show did more than anything was showcase his talent, his acting. Because obviously
This
Mando,
is
he's
why
mostly just a
I'm surprised
voice.
he's not Doom, because he could just do the voice.
Yeah, and
Like
then
seriously. Like
he's walking now into a film with Ridley Scott, and
Yeah.
actors who are like this like film Twitter thing, they always have their favorites. He's obviously Pascal himself is one of them. But he's doing that movie with Barry Keoghan and Paul Mescal, who are like very popular in the same way that he is online. And
the
so
worst
that's
Joker
just
ever, Barry Keoghan.
worst Joker ever, Barry Keoghan,
Yeah,
yes.
but don't go
So
in and let that fucking fart define that guy's career, which is really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then he's
Yeah.
and then he's doing
Not his
I
fault.
was gonna, but you talked me out of it.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like,
he's
He's
good. He's a
Alright.
good
he's
actor.
gonna have weapons, which is probably gonna be fairly low budget, but it's probably gonna make a lot of the box office, which is good for Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll have resonance there. He'll be the star of that. He's probably taking the potential of the box office.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on Fantastic Four. And when he does
Yeah.
that, he isn't just signing on for Fantastic Four. He's signing on for the another at least 10 years.
Yeah.
He's gonna be in
3
those fucking
years.
Avengers movies, right?
He's
So
like,
he's
I get
gonna
to stretch.
yeah,
To
he's gonna
stretch my
run.
acting abilities as Mr. Fantastic. So I'm gonna make him talk like Triumph the dog. And now I
Think
get
of
to stretch the
Hmm.
Pedro face all over the screen.
Yeah.
think of any wins this man's gonna get, right? He's gonna have the Mandalorian, into The Last of Us, into Gladiator, Fantastic Four, weapons. Then he's gonna have 2 Avengers movies that he's gonna be in, and a Mando movie. Like he's gonna
Yeah.
be in like all these high profile things, and he's gonna be on a constant like win essentially, because the
Yeah.
internet loves him, and at least a couple of those things will be good. Maybe not all of them, but a few of them.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to be the Chuck E. Cheese version of Daniel Day-Lewis.
He's
like,
from California, dude. He's not
I
Triumph
know.
the insult comic dog.
I like to stretch.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna
Sounds
see
like
him
Dracula. I don't know
stretch,
what he's
dude.
up to. Like,
it's Triumph.
Just wanted to see him. Just want to see him
He comes
stretch,
from
man.
Newport
Wanna see
Beach, dude. Like he lives where we came
want
from,
to get
basically.
really stretchy on the screen. Want my belly button to go 50 feet wide.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's what we're gonna get. It's
Yeah, I mean, but I
Mm.
would also say, like, from just a purely, like, number one, as a Star Wars fan, none of this makes me happy. I really want the person that's in the role of the Star Wars character to be at the beck and call of that part when need be, however need be. So that's where
don't blame
I'm
him
at.
though.
No, but why I'm not going to blame him is I'm not going to blame a guy for going on and moving on with this career when a show is going into the 4th season. It is, by all classic standards, is in the back end of itself right now. You know,
and to be honest,
shows go 5
critically, it's
seasons
not.
and that's good. 10 seasons is where we get into, like, Married with Children place. We don't need 10 seasons of The Mandalorian, but they will
I
probably
stopped
end up
at
doing
4
that.
with Married Children, Jason.
You know?
There's very few bigger
Hey.
fans than me. And
I say I'll take 11 seasons of Christina Applegate. You're dumb.
in clips, yes, but I'm taking that show to show. No, it's no.
But the
That's-
The
thing,
jokes
yeah.
individually are funny. But
the thing, I had like messages yesterday from like friends who were like fucking pissed that like Pedro's like essentially ditched Mando in their eyes, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this, like, they're like, oh, I'm done with him. Like, I don't like what he's doing. I'm like, it's not even his like problem. It's not his fault. They didn't
No.
have him as a first priority, like in a contract. Why haven't they locked him down? For
Mhm.
season 3, right? Like, that was their issue. He went and like pursued and like furthered his career, which is clearly working, you know. And then they future-proofed the show, so like, yeah, he can continue to grow and become a star. And the issue is with Jon Favreau is that he once said that he has no plans of stopping the Mandalorian,
Mhm.
like, of when the series will end, not just obviously the movie, but the series. You know,
Right.
my fear is Jon Favreau will go until he's forced to stop, essentially.
Yeah.
You know,
he
And-
can't be stopped. He can't be reasoned with. He'll just keep making Mando shows without reason. Like,
Well, that's the other thing that like there's nothing to back this up. This is not a story, not a scoop. Don't put it into a tweet saying I reported this, because I'm not.
hold on, I'm typing this
I'm-
now. Careful. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go.
but don't watch where you overtalk. I mean, because then that's when they don't hear it and then they go do it, you know. But I believe that if Dave Filoni's movie takes off, I think he is going to be making Star Wars films.
you
And
need
I
to
think
specify
that-
that's like a theory, not
and
like.
that's what I'm saying. It's what I believe, not what I know. And but once again, I'm not here to teach people English either. You know what I mean? Like we're all going to agree that everybody.
Yeah, but you
speaks
could see the
basic
tweet.
English.
You could see
Yeah.
the tweet that.
And I already
make the
said
Star
it.
Wars-
Don't fucking say
Yeah.
it. I said,
yeah.
don't tweet this, you fucking retard.
Hold
Well,
on.
I should have said retard.
I just
know
tweeted
said
it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that I believe if Filoni and Favreau have film success, that they will be making Star Wars films. I don't think that they're going to go back and start making television shows again with the same fervor. I think that everything got bigger, that your full dreams are realized. You do what you want. You're doing what you want, how you want to do it at that point, more or less. And so I just don't see that as being in the cards. So a part of me does question, could Mandalorian start to sort of wind down with that anyways if those films become successful and he does end up being because once Mando is a quote film star, you're not going to be able to put Mando in the TV shows with the same way you could before. The ability will just change drastically because everything has to coincide and sit well together. So they're not going to do it. I see Mando as becoming more off the table if that film is the quote Mando crossover event, has him as a main star, as a main character in a big way. It might not be that way. I mean, for all we know, it's an Ahsoka Tano film in actuality, or a new character altogether. We don't really know what they're doing, but on different kind of different layouts of what that could be. In one of them, I'd say Mandalorian sort of Mandalorian as a Din show becomes less likely, I think, in a major way.
Also,
Because-
Jason, Buy my new #1 single on Spotify, Rubber Band Man.
Yeah, Rubber Band Man. But
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
like, you know, they put out novels that have like 2 lines that tie into their movies because they're so secretive about it. I don't think that they're gonna go and like do set up television series every time for them. And just
Right.
in my opinion, this project of getting these 2 shows out before this film is a fucking pain in the ass that I don't think anybody's really gonna want to rush back into doing anytime soon.
Yeah, and if only they could get the fans to like season 3, then they could just run with Favreau's scripts unchecked.
Yeah,
right?
you know. But I mean, what you have with the Mandalorian though is you have guys who came in with an idea that Disney did not give a fuck about, so they did not police it, but they liked it enough that they'd pay to make it, and for them to like start and be the first show. They really did have way more freedom than you would think on that one, and then it becomes a huge hit. Now it's going into the film space, but I also don't. So I think when you have that 3rd season of the show, you don't necessarily question Favreau. You go, he's the director, he's the showrunner, he's the leader. Fucking, he's bringing us success. Let's not question, let's not sit here and second guess everything he's doing. And then, but that was the time when, they let him do it. I think he did fail on that season. I think that season
I think he failed for Boba Fett as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did 2 failures in a row for me.
Yeah, and when it comes to the Boba Fett one, that's one where I do wonder if there was less freedom. Was the Grogu call his, or was the Grogu call a forced compromise? Like, there's certain things I would love to actually truly know. I've heard things from both sides of that going totally different ways from rumors in Lucasfilm. I don't think anybody knows, or really, I don't know the real story there. I'm curious as to, was it all Favreau?
I told you, I just go for what he says. He claimed he can't write one without the other.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, he's not a great writer. Like,
no,
he's
an action fucking person.
He wrote himself a challenge and he couldn't live up to it, so he took the easy way out. That's how I view it.
Right.
And like, even anything we attribute to him for being, he did Iron Man and he did fucking Elf and shit. It's like he directed them, he didn't write them. Like, he wrote Mandalorian, he wrote Boba Fett. Like, the first 2 seasons of Mando, they were fun, they were cool, but Boba Fett felt like a fucking first draft. Even if you take Robert, because Favreau, like, he doesn't really direct on Mando anyway. I think he's only directed 1 episode, right? Ever.
Well, when I was
I know
on
he's
the first
there
season, he was
shit,
directing
like,
all over every episode. Yeah,
but he's the showrunner. Like, he's he's supposed to dictate it, right? And then he was there a lot for Boba Fett, and because even Tamara Morrison was like, but like Jon Favreau is a director on it when he isn't, and then obviously you have Mando season 3.
Levy has done more directing on Stranger Things than Favreau's done on Mando, like by far.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't know about that, man. I really don't know about
that.
I do. Rob, I was literally fucking there though, Rob.
Yeah, but if you count the hours of episodes that Levy's done, even add up all the Mandos, it says
but I'm saying on season 1, he was like literally always there. And he was always behind the camera giving directions, even when it was the other like all the time. I don't know how much that ends up being in season 3. Okay, for instance.
But he handed over most of the reins to fucking Famuyiwa.
Famuyiwa by 3, yeah. So I don't know how long that's like true, but
whose idea was it for the Buster Keaton circle?
I watched that the other day, and you need to watch it again because I think you've lost focus on that one.
No, it sucks.
Yeah, it's fine.
No,
it's fine. It's not even something to like hang on. Like when you watch
I'm hanging on it.
It's crazy.
I'm hanging on it. It's crazy that it's in there. You're right.
It's I don't know. I mean, it could they irised out in a different way. I don't know. I don't think it changes the moment.
And big goofy time.
Yeah.
Funny.
But I think it's funny. I mean, if you want to be critical of it, Rob, they go through all of this shit about how he's a Mandalorian, then they end with him fucking using the Force on a goddamn frog.
Yeah. I critique that too.
But yeah. Well, I think now it's time for everybody to If Pedro's cast, or even if he's not, I think this says where Pedro's at in his career.
What about
where he's
Ahmed
at.
Best? He wants to play Mr. Fantastic. We had him on the show.
It would have been
I
good.
think Mr. Best playing Mr. Fantastic was just genius marketing. Like,
yeah.
I do.
All that said, no, I mean, I think it's just if you are going to go and then be surprised when he's not Mr. Fantastic Four, but then he's playing Stretch Armstrong or some shit in a different movie, and then you want to cry again, well, get all the tears out, because this tells us where his mindset is at, where he and his managers are at, where they're going with his career.
Pedro Pascal confirmed his Plastic Man for James Gunn's universe,
right? By making Star Wars.
But
yeah, all that, like this is what's going to happen. You're not going to have Mando Daddy with the helmet off in a bunch of episodes next time. It's not happening. We're not going that way.
I'm stretching my abilities as plastic in 2 movies.
So,
and this one I stretch for the Marvels, and this one I stretch for the James Gunns.
Yeah.
He's stretching. And, we're gonna get to see him stretch. Look, man, I love the character. He's fun to draw. I've yet to see anyone stretch on screen and that look good. Only in animation. I'm saying live action. It's gonna be a weird thing to make.
When
look cool.
I was a child, one of the rare times I got to read Variety, I was like on like like in like a fucking museum with my grandparents, and there's a copy of Variety, and I pick it up and I start reading it. It's like the first one I've ever read, and I quickly understand, oh, this is for people who make movies. Interesting, so it's very different. And in it, there's an announcement that Steven Spielberg is doing the Plastic Man movie, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Waited many years for that Steven Spielberg Plastic Man movie that never came out. But
remember, supposed to make that Black Hawk film too. That never happened.
No? Black Hawk Up.
Black Hawk.
Sequel to Black Hawk Down.
It's a jet fighter comic, dude. It wasn't something to be excited about.
Yeah,
it had a good cameo in Kingdom Come. That's about it. They dropped a nuke on Superman.
But the Mandalorian television show, in terms of physical faces carrying emotional resonance, is going to be carried probably by somebody else moving forward, and not Pedro Pascal. The show has one of the biggest actors in Hollywood to do the voice, and that's kind of
now.
You gotta hope that they, since Disney owns your soul and your career and owns the other property, that they're able to make it all work out for Star Wars fans and Star Wars in general. But I'd say it's time just to let it go and assume that it ain't going to be that way anymore. Unfortunately, that is what it is. It's that's where this is going. It looks like.
I'm so tired of this stupid narrative though. Like anytime I wrote about fucking season 3, like after season 3 came out, people are like, "Oh my god, he wasn't in the season." Like, yeah, well, fucking hey, well done,
Yeah,
it happens all the time. It's just so annoying. Like, are all these people just never doing research on the show? Have they never read an interview where it's like, they're like, "Oh, well, Brendan and fucking Lateef do such a great job, like in the suit,"
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the moments we do see his face are important moments in the show. And they carry a lot of they permeates throughout the series. It happening is very important.
When he wanted to bone that tree lady.
Well, right?
Well,
to go back to Rob's pet hate is at the end when we get that the kid irising thing onto Grogu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really fucking silly that the guy is sitting outside with his feet up and his kid playing in the front yard. Nobody's around with the helmet on. Like, that's fucking
with the helmet.
silly.
I was gonna bring that up. Like, it's fucking weird that's when we set it up so you can always have the helmet on. But we ended him having a homestead where he just sits there with his helmet on all fucking day. Like, all right,
yeah,
sure.
Well, and like friend, colleague, channel member Cascadian says, Pedro isn't going anywhere. They'll figure it out so he can be on set a day or two to film his face for whatever emotional impact they need. And you're right. I think if they
didn't fucking do it for season 3, did they? And they could have.
If they wrote that, then they would. But I think with the current climate, I just think that they don't write it. I think they just say that's a fucking hassle, bro, and then they just don't do it anymore. You know, that's where I think it's gonna go. Actors says never. They like all comprehension. They read Dexerto, Culture Crave, discussing film tweets only, nothing more. Oh, yeah. To answer your, what do these people know about the productions of things? Yeah.
Well, I
Um.
don't know. Even the question before, it's not even a question. There's a fucking statement from that dude. Like, we know, like, we the guys who, like, sent, you go yourself, I send people to that fucking set. Like, we know people who work on things or whatever. Like I
Right.
said, I was following his fucking Last of Us schedule. I knew people working on Last of Us who following him in fucking LA and shit. Like, he had 2 months. He had 2 months. And like Giancarlo said, like, they have worked stuff out with him. If,
Yeah.
like, he's doing
Yeah,
Last of Us, but they've worked
Giancarlo
stuff out with
wouldn't
him.
leave set. They tried to get rid of him. He's just like, I
Yeah.
go nowhere. I
But
want to
it's
stay
like,
here. I'm the chicken man. Like,
and that's
yeah.
so I think you were right. I think they don't even bother. They future proof themselves. They don't need it. But I think when that movie comes, there's going to be renegotiations for a start, right? Because he's going to have to do a fucking film,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're going to have to renegotiate with Pedro. They're probably going to have to renegotiate with some other characters, actors, wherever, right? For that.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but Pedro and
Do
his
you think
team.
when Pedro goes to renegotiate, Bespin, he comes in with Party Man? Like he's got some guys with some boom boxes behind him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does this song
Mm-hmm.
follow me? You know what I
Party
mean?
man,
like,
party man,
Rock
like,
a party, Pedro man,
Pedro
Pedro
man.
man. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, rock a party like Pedro can.
And where's Adam Driver? At home, washing his tights. That's what
Wishing he was
happened.
in a Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that you're right. That now at a point we're like, well, he's not going to be here, so we ride it without him. Essentially, he'll come in, he'll do all the press for us. He'll be fantastic on the press tour. He'll get clipped up. He'll be all over the internet. It's great for us.
Yeah.
He will give us so much more exposure and marketing than what we pay him for,
Mm-hmm.
and what we pay for actual marketing. And he's great for that. And like I said, he'll show up in that movie. And at that point where he shows up in that movie, he'd have fucking Gladiator and Fantastic Four under his belt.
Well, and when you look at it, like I think Arya's comment is pretty pertinent. They wanted him to be a voice actor, and they got what they wanted. And like
Yeah.
when you really look at it, Pedro fought for his face to be seen in those seasons, and then now he's really, when you get down to it, conformed to what the man at Disney wants.
I don't think he conformed though. Essentially, I just think that like
They're getting what
they
they
had their
originally wanted, and then now
they
that
had
the
what
show
they
makes
yeah.
more, I think his payment as a voice actor is justified, and I think everybody's happy.
And I think any appearance he does with his face is going to cost a lot more money. And like I said, by the time he gets to that fucking movie,
Yeah.
he's going to be worth a lot more money. Whatever deal he's just struck for Fantastic Four, where it's like Adam or Jake wanted like a 10 mil, he's obviously settling for less than it. If he's got
Yeah.
two big box office hits under his belt, he's the lead of The Last of Us, which is like super successful. He's the voice of the show that like carried the weight of Disney Plus on it for the first couple of years, or the first
Yeah.
year at least, and
Right.
help you get this fucking movie.
Right.
Essentially, he's gonna be like, no, I want like big money to be in this shit. And rightfully so. He had earned it at that
Pedro
point.
people say it now. Yeah.
But I don't think
Yeah.
we'll see his face until then.
Until the movie.
Everybody party if you want the Mando, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty good little part of that breakdown, Rob. Good job. Mm-hmm. That was good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the guy that walks in and starts painting over Bob Chapek's statue with the Joker paint. Like,
yeah, that's pretty good. Well, all those stupid Mickey Mouse statues out there, in the Burbank lot that they have, start painting on them.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we did it. We did it. I think we came to a consensus of the reality with Pedro. we know what we should expect and from the Mando probably. And if we do get episodes with him and with his face shown, then great. Hey, fantastic. I'm glad it's not how it seemed, but I would imagine that's not gonna be the case. So yeah, tomorrow is Friday. So if there's any Star Wars news that happens, we'll be back tomorrow, talk about it. And otherwise, everybody have a good weekend. I gotta get out of here. Got stuff to go and do and all that stuff. Bespin, thank you for putting that document together. You did a great job on that and putting it all together for the show so that we had all of the facts straight. I appreciate that a lot because that's not my arena at all. And then and Rob, I'm glad you're here after a double root canal. Did not see that coming. Honestly, didn't think you were going to be up for it today. I thought you were going to, be talking like a chubby cheek chipmunk.
Oh, don't worry. Next week I got to go in and get the crowns replaced. So
is that's next week? So you got a week off?
Yeah,
get a week off of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being a channel member and for supporting the show. Make sure you support BespinBulletin.com. If you read the site, there's pretty much no better way to support Bespin than on coffee directly.
Send him a chronic.
Yeah.
What other? Can we send him Lear? Can we send him things in different currencies? Can we?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Can we send him
rupees?
Rubles aren't so. That's not so good. It's 100 to 1 right now, Jason.
You know what though? He'll think he got a lot of money at first though. He'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm rich," and he'll be like, "Oh, I got $16," and I'll be like, "That's McDonald's." And I think
I'll send him 18,000 yen. How about that?
That's 2 McDonald's for me. 18 pounds, I can get like two days worth of McDonald's out of that.
Not in America.
So that's all it takes.
Yeah, but your food is much bigger. I get more value for my money over there. Right?
He's not wrong.
Like, look at gas. You guys go in gallons. We go in like liters. You know, I pay.
We don't even know what a liter is, man, unless it's a soda.
I think it's like
the only thing liters. That's how they get you in America. The only thing we use liters for is soda.
So
that's it.
How much are you paying for like a gallon now? Like, is it like $5 or something?
$3.79.
Yeah,
you paying $3.7.
Yeah, I live in California. I'm paying about $5.
Right, so it's $5 for a gallon of gas, right?
Yeah.
Right, and so that's about £3.50 in like my money.
Yeah, but you have the trains. Like, we don't have trains.
We don't have no. We only have trains in London. Trust me, every other train across country is shit. Right,
Rob.
Like London's a good place.
Rob, all the bridges. All the London bridges were falling down, dude. He's stuck where he's at.
But the Conservatives have been in charge for like 12 years. It should all be working flawlessly, Jason.
I don't know.
But it's like, yeah, so I don't know. The point was, anyway, I got to pay like £1.50, I think, for a litre. And I think there's 4.5 litres in a gallon, if I'm correct.
Okay.
So
why are you asking us? We can't do that, man.
I think, like, so, yeah, you ain't overpaying.
You should learn to stretch. If you could just stretch, you could just stretch across the Londons. Go anywhere you want.
If I could, yeah, no, Azrew, I've got like this makes sense. Like, there's no fucking trains anyway. There's trains. There's not good. You know, like,
Azrew's about to run a train on you.
I don't want anybody to run a train on me. Please, no. Right?
Come on, Riff Daddy, get him. Get him, Riff Daddy.
No amount of coffee money is going to allow anybody to do a train on me, right? Like, that's just not happening. But
Riff Daddy just drops out of the sky. If it happens, it happens.
But he's also not in Wales. No, he's not in Wales. It's just shit, yeah, man. Like, it's not great. Like, I went to London for Celebration. What a fantastic train service. You know, it was a train every 2 minutes. It was great. I come back to Wales. It's all these old ass trains, and it's like I gotta wait an hour to go from where I live to like fucking Cardiff. Like, train once an hour. It's not good, you know. And plus, I gotta drive around. I gotta drive at 20 miles per fucking hour these days.
He sent me a video of him like driving like from like in his area one time, and he has to drive at like 20 miles per hour now because of like a new law, and you just see it, and it looks like he's playing like the worst Gran Turismo track of all time. I mean, I would be like, go to the McDonald's? Nah, man, I'm just gonna cook. That's too much work. You know, it's just, I was getting crazy watching the video.
I was like basically driving in the middle of the road because of like all the cars are parked on the street and shit.
They're coming at you the wrong way. It's nice.
You can send it to Rob.
What can Joe Biden do
to
fix
roller coaster,
right? Because Joe Biden fucked all that up, right?
Rob can put it in VR.
Shit. Maybe Bernie could do something. I don't know.
All right, we're getting out of here, guys. We're getting out of here. Bye, everybody. Thank you for supporting the show.
Nihilism.
Thank you, best man. Thank you, Rob. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Maybe.
Come on, let's go. Hey! It's the end of the show. Come on, let's go. Hey! It's the end of the show. Come on, let's go. Hey! You know you should go. Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.